Hey guys, Travis here with PK Lighting Design. Hey, I just wanted to do a little rant here about lighting and its benefits when done correctly, exterior versus interior, and biology. Uh, Spoiler alert, I talk with a lot of business development people, and they tell me not to talk about the details, that people don't care about the science behind it, that I'm going to lose people right away. That's okay. Those might not be my people that are interested in this because I'm not looking for the quick sale here. Yes, I do want to sell lighting design services and make money, but I'm also very passionate about helping you guys out to understand how lighting works and how our bodies work because it's very important. And there's a lot of things that we're just not aware of how lighting affects our body and our health beyond aesthetics and architecture appeal. We're going to go over that as well. But as quickly as I can, I want to go over the benefits of lighting. Just to give you a little example here, I could do a horrible job designing using new technology, LED, high performing fixtures, or I could do a very beautiful job with poor quality fixtures and old technology like CFL. Why that matters is because placement and aiming matters, design matters, the finishes matter. I think about some of these $4 million homes being built, and they're putting in these $30 wafer lights from box stores, which the wafer light only has no optic control. The light source itself is mounted flush to the ceiling, and if you mount that 10 to 8 feet, with which most ceiling heights are, you're going to get what's called glare. And the best way for me to describe glare is concentrated light when its surroundings are not as light, concentrated light in your visual or peripheral system, right in that view. And it causes headaches, it causes discomfort. It's the best way to see this example is if you say you have 1,000 lumen fixture or more, even 10,000. Maybe there's a 20,000 lumen in a gymnasium, but it's mounted 40 feet high. You're not getting glare because it's up high and we're not looking directly up at it. But if you mount one of those fixtures 10 feet or lower, it's right in your line of sight and you're going to have glare. In the middle of the day, when the sun's producing 100,000 lux, when there's no clouds out, 9,000 lux on the ground, when there's cloud cover, you're not going to get glare because your eyes, you don't even do this without thinking. It just does it automatically for you. Your eyes constrict and it's letting in less light. So then that 1,000 lumen, even up 20,000 lumen fixture seems like nothing. You don't even notice it. The best example is at nighttime when there's a car driving, our eyes are dilated. They're letting in more light because there's not very much light. So all of a sudden that little 600 lumen headlight is, if it's bright and in your eyes, you can't see. You're almost like blinded. You're like in pain because of the amount of light that's coming into your eyes. That is what glare is. Because there was a debate whether or not light was a particle or wave. Some people thought it was a particle. Some people thought it was a wave. But it turns out that it's both. It is a particle because it's a photon, and photons are what enters the eye and tell our brains to release certain chemicals based on what time of day it is. It's a wave because it travels in different wavelengths. That's how light travels. And depending on the wavelength, if it's short and longer frequencies versus if it's long and faster frequencies, it depends. That dictates what color that we see. So why that's important is because you think about the sun, when it rains out, we see a rainbow. The rain is actually refracting the light, and you see its natural properties: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. And then when it is, if these manufacturers that are making light fixtures, they get and produce white. Sorry, let me back up. You see all those colors because if you add an equal amount of color, if it's exactly equal, you get white. your brain perceives it as white. If I have the same amount of red as I have the same amount of green, my brain's going to perceive it as white. So then we have that full spectrum, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet, and it's all equal. We see white. And there's different tones of white. In the middle of the day, really blue, it's 10,000 K. So blue light, despite what people are saying, is not bad for you. We actually need blue light. It helps tell our body to release certain levels of activity, productivity, and keep us alert. It's the time of day of the delivery of that blue light that matters. At nighttime, you don't want blue light because that's going to keep you up and awake and alert. So you want that warm light to mimic a sunset. You know, so when the sun goes down, it actually changes its tone to that warm white, almost to red when it's real low, and that starts telling the body that it's time to go to sleep. It starts preparing itself. You think about the last 300,000 years we've evolved as a human species, the sun rising and setting. It's only the last 150 years that the electric light bulb was invented. So there's a lot of things. There's so much light in our devices and light that we're not using correctly, or putting in garbage light that we don't really understand. But I know people are capable of understanding. And I wish I had a good solution for the common person, the do-it-yourselfer out there, but right now I don't. I'm going to explain why here, but I'm coming up with a plan here for the future. So you think about that full spectrum, you know, there's literally like $1,000, $1,500 light out there that has the full spectrum, and you can do 2 million colors. You can do, you know, 1800 Kelvin, which is that really warm light, almost red, and that goes all the way up to 10,000 Kelvin, which is that really white light, like moonlight when it's really white. And then some of these manufacturers out there that sell the inexpensive lights that are maybe at the box stores are cheating in a way to get the white. They're not really adding chips, LED chips with full spectrum color. They maybe have a red and a blue, and then they put a filament over it to make it appear white. So the light, when it's turned on, the light looks white. But why does that matter? Why am I telling you that? Because you think about the full spectrum of the rainbow when the sun's shining. So you're getting all those wavelengths of colors mixed together. They hit an object, and then that object absorbs a certain amount of those wavelengths, and it reflects a certain amount back. And what gets reflected back dictates what color that we see. So if all of a sudden I take away the full spectrum and there's only 2 colors in there, 3, maybe even 4 at best, you're not getting the full wavelength. You're not going to see the light that bounces into our eyes is going to be very different. It's going to create a different picture in our mind, or our mind's going to be straining to try to adjust to create the picture, because the brain fills in the gaps. So it's going to fill in the gaps. And you think about your eyes have been developed since birth. They've been pushed out from the brain to interact with the world. And the way it interacts is through photons, through light. So it's very important. That's how we see the world. That's how we perceive it. That's how our body knows when to start producing certain chemicals and when to sleep. Sleep is your best tool for health and wellness, to make yourself feel good. So that's very important. And you don't have to spend, I don't believe, $1,000 a fixture to get good lighting in your home or even business. But you definitely, it's more, how I say this, performance over product. It's, yes, I've worked in the rep industry, and we're pushed to sell product, and we would partner up with manufacturers, and man, that's the best manufacturer. They got this, this, and this. And then as soon as we lose that line, all of a sudden, oh man, they suck. They can't do this, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's just a sales game. And then in the distribution industry where I worked, it was driven by a lot of price, because I think contractors just subconsciously, they do a great job, but they don't understand lighting yet, and they're trying to, but a lot of times it's just price driven. So the they're going for the cheapest thing. That's where you get those wafer lights or without any optics in it. And then I realized I started TK because I realized that the owner was missing out. And the contractors, the smart ones and the electrical contractors realized there's an opportunity, there's a value here to create a beautiful space to get lighting and good quality lights designed good that create, because these clients are spending, half of their project costs on their interiors and finishes. And if it's not illuminated correctly, it looks like shit. It looks like garbage because it's not lit well. So back to the glare with the 10 to 8 foot ceilings, you have that there, and yeah, the space might be bright, but then at nighttime too, you have that glare, you have that blue light, yes, and you're not able to sleep. Your brain's still going, and you can't wonder why, because 2 hours before nighttime, we want to use light to leverage our biology, mimic the sun. 2 hours before nighttime is when we want to turn off the overhead light. And that's why we try to design mindfully as well too. We have layers. We have overhead lighting for the ambient space in the day, and then in the evening, another layer where those lights would turn off, or you can turn those off yourself if you want, and you have step or guide lights or accent lights. So we can layer in different lighting to accent art on the wall, draw attention to architectural interior design details, focal points, and you can also have it so you're not waking yourself up at night, and you have guide lights so you can see where you're going to get ready for bed, lay in bed, maybe have a bedside table lamp or a wall sconce to help you read, but not super bright. So it's not just in the evening, it's not just about the color temperature of the light, which is that 3000K to 10,000K. It's also about the output, how much lumens there are. Excuse me. So if there's less lumens, that's not going to wake my body up as much, because down here on the lower parts of our eyes, we have what are called melanopsin ganglion cells. And they're in the lower part because they're specifically trying to pick up overhead light. So, and large amounts of it. So if you have lower amounts in the evening, it will help you out. It'll prepare your body to go sleep. You can still see to do the things that you want to do, but yet you're not waking yourself up with light. Quickest way to crush your melatonin production is with bright overhead lighting. I'm going to say that. So that doesn't mean that on the inside of our house we shouldn't have any lighting at all, because we need that during the day. We need that in the winters when it gets dark at 4 o'clock and you want adequate amount of light, or maybe you live in a different space where it gets, for part of the year, it's dark all year long or all day long, and in other parts it's bright all day long. That's really important for that and our impression to have good quality lighting that helps us out. And you want it to be adjustable, so because the sun changes throughout the day. I'm bringing this up because we draw up plans. That's what we get paid to do. We take something complex and put it all in plans to give contractors something to follow. And I've also worked in the contracting industry as a laborer, so I'm aware how hard it is to install some of these things. So we try to design mindfully with something that's easy to install. But for the do-it-yourselfer, there's these commodity lines I see out there that, and I've bought them and tested them. They're not very applicable. They're just like for a quick sale. They don't work well. The app goes out, and then you gotta redo the app. You're trying to set it so it mimics the sun. And what we do instead is we partner up with custom integrators, and they're guys that do lighting control systems, or sometimes the product reps that sell their lighting control too. But custom integrators do it really good because they do lighting control, they do shades, they do security, audio, visual, TV as well, and they make it all work together, and they program it so your light can do that. And you gotta buy the right light fixtures, not just any light fixture that can do that. So it is a more expensive light fixture when you get those ones. You don't have to get the $1,500 one, but you can get the $200 or $300 one that mimics the sun, and it goes from 2700K up to 6000K, and either sometimes they're wireless communication. Those tend to be the more expensive ones, or the ones that don't really work well because they haven't put in the time and effort to make it work, and that's why it's cheap. Or you can get the ones that are wired, and wired is usually it has a line uh, for power, and it has a neutral, it has a ground, but then it has other control wires. If it's a dolly system, it has uh, uh, two low voltage wires that's telling that fixture what color temperature to be at. If it's different, if it's a DMX system, then it has a low voltage cable that you're running, and each fixture is individually addressable. And why it's important to have the custom integrator is because they can program all that, so it does it automatically for you. And then uh, if something goes wrong, if the custom integrator has it set up right, they have a back door into the system where they can go and fix it and change something for you. So that way it's working correctly. And then on the exterior, you think about exterior lights should only be on at night. They're not something that should be on during the day. But then if our biology aligns with the sun, guess what? So do the animals. And if it's bright all day long or all evening long throughout the night, they're having a hard time sleeping too and getting away from the light. That's why you should have a control system on your exterior to make it so it turns off between midnight and 6 a.m. or preferably 10, 11 to 6, or open at dawn to dusk, open to close. I guess whatever one comes sooner. That's the way the energy code is written, and not a lot of people are even aware. I see a lot of people selling themselves as lighting experts, but they're just trying to sell cheap fixtures or to get the sale, and lots of them, or expensive fixtures, but they don't actually care about the quality and the setup. That's why it's beneficial to partner up with the right people and have it done right. And then you'll notice this exterior here too. We don't want like a floodlight. We don't have a floodlight shining out onto the neighbor's lawn. That's called light trespass. We have fixtures, specified fixtures that have optics where the light is concealed in the fixture and it's being focused. It's shining up and down the wall here, up over here. You can see that. You have these lights. These lights are going up, and they're lighting the eaves. They're drawing attention to that detail. These lights down here, they're doing some light shadow work on the ground. They're kind of, and then this is the front entryway. That's the way you want to do it. You want to. That doesn't mean you can't have the security light where you need to flood out a certain space, but you want that on an occupancy sensor, so it's shut off, so it's not on all the time. And you want these lights to be 3000K or less, preferably 27,000K, so it's that warmer light, so it's not the white light, because we don't want that at night. And we want the light to be concealed too, so it's not contributing to light pollution, those types of things. For the interior, it's important to have those lights that are bouncing around a lot, but there's a lot I want to share. You think about the lights that I've talked about, the wafers that are glare bombs, and they're because they don't have any optics, they're losing light within the first 3 to 4 feet at least of the fixture. Because light is a wave, it's like water too. If I take a water hose and there's no pressure at the end, it's just falling out. That's what the light is doing. But if I then I put a nozzle on it and make that nozzle really narrow, it shoots a lot farther. That's what optics do, is they put lenses and refractors around it, help focus that light. So that way when that same light goes up in this 14-foot ceiling in this $4 million home, and all of a sudden the light's not getting down on the ground, it's because you need to spend more money on better lighting, something that was designed a little bit better. We help with that specification. But the light itself has optics that's maybe a 10 or 20-degree beam that's being pushed down. And a lot of these people that do this don't even know what a spacing criteria is. The spacing criteria is something that you find on the cut sheet of the manufacturer who made the light because they put it in a machine that tests the light output, the photometry of it, and it gives you a ton of data. It's hard to read on paper, but we help digest that. And a spacing criteria would be something that show up as an SC, and it'd be 0.8, maybe 1.2. And what that means is if you have a 10-foot ceiling, 20-foot ceiling, you times it by that spacing criteria. And that's how far you should space apart your fixtures, or no further than that, so you're not getting light gaps in the ground, and it's going to help create even uniform light. And then on the back side too, we're also doing a lot of calcs that not something that we're going to share with the owner or client. We're looking at all this to make sure it's done right, to get the adequate amount of light that we want. And it's called foot candle calc, or lux if you're in a different country. It's just the way that you measure it, but you're using quantity of fixtures. You're looking out for structural placement, where you can place all the fixtures, mounting details, the type of ceiling it is, and you need to specify the right light that will fit in there, the lumen output, so that way you can get enough light, and then the optics to get it done right. And that just should contribute to one layer. That should be the ambient layer, the ambient light in the space. But again, like we talked about, in the evening, you want that to dim down and maybe create a different feeling that feels good. In the evening, you're highlighting your fireplace, maybe your trophy animal, your art on the wall, whatever is meaningful to you. You draw attention to that because the light draws attention to where it's shown. And then we also design in guide lights, step lights that are another layer. That way you can go to sleep when you need to and go find your way without having to wake yourself up and turn on all your bright overhead lights. So like there's a lot more to it. That's just the tip of the spear for the amount of lighting that goes into it. And then you think about that tunable white is what it's called. Tunable white with those nitro lights with the where they can adjust the color temperature. Even if you don't have the money to do that, you still can design a really nice home, one that lines with your biology and still nice highlights the details. And by designing in those layers that you can turn off and on at certain times of the day, so that way it's adjustable, because you want light to be adjustable. You want to conceal the main light source wherever you can to help eliminate flare, and paint the walls with light, paint the details that you want to draw attention to, and also not contribute to a ton of light pollution at night on your exteriors, and help have a healthy home on the inside. And you can do all of that with lighting design. Like I said, I don't really have a good way to help out the more common person, but what I am going to do, I promise, is going to put together an 8-module course for designers and do-it-yourselfers, where you can take all this information that I've learned over the last 15 years and condense it down so it's digestible, and you can start designing your own home today. That's what you want it to do. And it's going to be, if you sat through the course, all 8 modules of it, you could, but we'll go through the programs that we use. Like this right here, this image is a rendering. It's a visualization. So I don't show people the foot candle calc that we do, but we've partnered up with a gaming engine to help visualize and show people the difference between lighting design versus, their old patterns and habits that they're still doing, and it's not looking good or feeling good. They're ready for a change. They can see the difference. They're ready for something new. We use this to help show them how it could look. So we're going to go through that, the drafting programs we use, understanding light. We're going to go through product selection, building fixture schedules and templates, and how to do all of that. So that way you have a good understanding of how to be your own lighting designer and help create a space that feels good with your biology, and help create a space that on the exterior not only highlights the beauty, all the work you put into your house, all this construction and time and effort, money, but one that also aligns with the environment, good for it. So I'll keep you guys up to date. All right. Have a good weekend.